You know a pool that nobody talks about? Pool 2.5, guys. There's this weird feeling when you leave an old pool and you enter a new one. You've got new cards, new combos, things you've never seen before that you now have to worry about. Your old bag of tricks are just not going to cut it anymore. However, you lost soul in Pool 3 hell. Allow me to shine a beacon of light. Today, I've got 5 insanely powerful decks for you to make it a lot easier to transition into Pool 3. We're going to walk you through the forms of their purest Pool 2 states to their final evolutions of a Pool 3 powerhouse that they can become. Now, yes, I hear you guys loud and clear. We did a survey asking you what pool you are currently in, and the majority are in early days of Pool 3 with some in Pool 2 as well, which is why today's video is tailor-made for you guys. We're going to have some custom-made Pool 2 decks that we can slowly trickle in some nice Pool 3 cards, give you guys loads of options depending on the luck that you might have to make some powerhouse decks that you'll be able to use over time. Let's begin. Now we're going to start today's decks off with On Reveal. This is the majority's favorite. You guys are very comfortable with this deck in Pool 1 and Pool 2. So I'm going to give you guys a new deck list to use for Pool 2. The upgrades that you'll want to have, which is great because Pool 3 has a lot of different options for On Reveal. And then obviously it's got the big timer in Wong. If you pull this guy, you're good to go. This will be our Pool 2.5 On Reveal shell if this is the type of deck you like. We have Sunspot, Iceman, and Scorpion to go ahead and continue to capitalize on some good disruption. Ironheart and Okoye, and then we added in some control. Now, Jubilee is a fantastic option going into Pool 3 because odds are you're going to unlock some pretty sexy big power cards, and you can slot those in right away into this deck. And then we're going to finish it off with, obviously, Odin and Infinite for the basic combo. Now, probably more than the other options we're going to talk about today, Pool 3 just has a lot of solid, amazing options that will drastically change the way that you make the deck. We have Lockjaw, who's going to dramatically change the role of this deck. You'll want to swap out the control options like Jessica Jones and Storm for a more instant value on reveal effects. Thor and Jane Foster, a fantastic combo as well. If you somehow get enough luck and pull them together, then what are you doing? Go hit up Vegas. That's fantastic. Also, we're going to add in Dr. Doom, who is going to be a good replacement or complement to White Tiger. Leader and Arnim Zola are also very strong, and if you got the Season Pass, then Black Panther should already be in that deck. Now put it all together, and this is the Pool 3 deck that I like to run. We've got Ebony Maw in here. We're going to be able to reach his location with White Tiger and Dr. Doom. We've got the obvious Wong Black Panther crazy combo there, which you can also slot in Arnim Zola in this deck. And we're going to teach you the basics of ramping. We have Psylocke, which is going to allow us to play Wong on turn 3, or Electro, one of my personal favorites, to get more high-cost cards out there. For the next killer deck we have for you guys, we have the Destroy deck, and my gosh, you guys love this deck type as well. It's evident because it's one of my most popular deck guides in Pool 2. But we've got a little bit of a different shell for Pool 2 going into Pool 3, and Pool 3 is full of some great drops that you can use independently and not have to worry about a bunch of different combos. Obviously, Lady Death is going to be one of the best pulls that you can get early. But the Pool 2 deck will be the following. You can use Angel or Agent 13 in this deck, depending on which way you would like to lean a bit more. Agent 13 is always great for Carnage as well, and some people just hate Angel. We have Nova, Bucky, and Carnage for the package. Sentinel to boost up Devil, Dinosaur, Killmonger, and Deathlock. And a few others to complement with American Chavez for the final topping of a 6-cost drop to push the rate of pulling Devil, Dinosaur all the greater. Out of all the decks, Destroy decks get one of the biggest boosts in Pool 3 with some strong card options available. Now, you can get access to Deadpool, which the Pool 3 deck is going to be all about. Obviously, you have Lady Death, a very strong option that we just talked about and showed on the main screen. Taskmaster, although is not a destroyed card, can copy some high power value cards that you can get either through Death, Venom, or even Deadpool. We have Wave for the infamous Death Wave combo. Mysterio to eat up with Carnage and get some nice value for only 2 costs. And then you also get Hood, one of the best 1-cost options in Snap. Now, as for the Pool 3 Destroy deck, there are so many different options you can run. This deck is going to be primarily focused on killing Deadpool as many times as possible to build up his power, copy it with Taskmaster, or play the infamous Wave Death combo that we just talked about. Killmonger's there to go ahead and lower death's count. And you can throw in Yondu, which is usually not a great one-drop, but he works wonders with death as well. Now, you guys can tell there's a lot of pool 3 cards in here, but the great part is you can slowly transition out of that Devil Dinosaur deck the more destroy cards that you get. And that's the beauty or curse of Pool 3. It's going to make some of your decisions for you. You could get a lot of destroy cards, a lot of on reveal, and it'll be obvious what decks you should run. All right, now let's move on to the mind games of Snap. One of my favorite things about the game, we have control decks. Now, control decks are one of my favorite decks to bring into Pool 3 because you're still doing the same thing. You're controlling the game. You're forcing them to play on the locations that you want with Storm, and then you can counter what they have no matter how big the power with Shang-Chi. So if you're struggling, this is definitely a solid deck to use. Looking at the Pool 2 deck, we've got the following cards that you guys have seen and grown accustomed to with our control deck guide that we already have out. But all this is to disrupt and control the opponents and make them do what you would like. Now, the good news is there's a lot of cool cards in Pool 3 that add to control decks, and it allows you to make some very strong options. Looking at Pool 3, the cards that you can unlock is Daredevil, which will be our #1 topic. We'll get back to him. Green Goblin for some nice disruption. If you like Hobgoblin, he's same purpose in a sense, but a little cheaper. Spider-Man is fantastic for shutting down a lane, especially on turn 5. Again, Dr. Doom to reach some hard locations with Storm. We have Captain Marvel. Now, Captain is perfect to play on top of Rescue for some maximum value, so a great card to add in there. And then Mysterio for some extra head games. Control is really an easy adjustment, and it still dominates just as much as it did in Pool 2. Looking at the complete Pool 3 deck, you guys can see that we have Daredevil as the main center option here with Ebony Maw, because we have a bunch of options to play cards on him later, or combo him with Storm. We have Killmonger for a little bit of countering if we do need it. Professor X, Captain Marvel, or you can still play Gamora if you don't have her. Giganto, and Infernaut or Dr. Doom. A ton of different options here, but the main point of this control deck, and one that I've climbed several times with, is you're going to pick a lane to shut down early, and then you want to pick a lane to play your big-time power on, right? And that's how you're going to easily win. A great example is shutting down the right lane and then using Giganto to seal the deal on the left lane. It's all about future planning. And then finally, to talk about this guy, if you get Daredevil, welcome to one of my favorite and most fun cards there is in Marvel Snap. You're reading it correctly. Daredevil allows you to see what the opponent is doing, and it instantly takes Professor X from a decent card to a huge value card, and same as the Guardians of the Galaxy or Hobgoblin, you can just read your opponent and simply play something that's going to completely mess up what they're trying to do. Now, I can't leave you move deck fans out there all by yourselves. We're going to also talk about an easy upgradable deck to your Pool 2 move deck if you enjoy the mind games as well. And good news, it's really easy to upgrade because there's not a lot of move cards in Pool 3, and they're not that great, but it stays the same. The strategy stays the same. For the Pool 2 deck you will be running, you guys can see it's the same song and dance we made the full video about. To know how to run this one efficiently, you guys can check out the video up above. And let's talk about the Pool 3 cards. You guys can see it's a major list here. Human Torch is actually going to be probably the strongest of the bunch that you unlock, and you can slot into your move deck. Throw them in there for Nightcrawler. Definitely going to be a much better option. Dagger makes things a little interesting, and one of the most important cards to a move deck to really have the insight of where to place her and where to move her for maximum value. Super fun card here as well. And then lastly, Polaris, Magneto, and Arrow. While they're not specific to move decks, like they're not going to help out your multiple man or anything like that, they're great cards, and they can definitely add some flair to the deck. So with all that put together, we're going to take a look at the Pool 3 move deck, and you guys can see all the options right here. Not a big amount of change going from one graphic to the other. But again, the first ones out in the Pool 2 move deck are probably cards like Nightcrawler, and then you can also replace Vision at the end there. Now, if I was a betting man, I would bet that the last deck here is probably the one that a good amount of you played a ton in Pool 2. It's the Devil Dinosaur. Now, we already talked about him a little bit with a Destroy deck option, but let's talk about a deck that's more focused on his playstyle, and it's extremely fun, especially if you get the right cards. Now, you will need specific cards, but if you pull these, definitely consider running this deck, and it's got a fun name, Dino Bounce. I mean, come on, it's got fun written in the name. Here is that quick picture of a Pool 2 Devil Dino deck. You guys know the synergy all too well by now, trying to get that Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur play by building him up and getting extra cards along the process. Or you might use the destroy option. But either way, let's show you some cards that can continue to add cards to your hand and at the same time are pretty good with this deck. We're going to call it a bounce deck, and that is all centered around Beast. Now, when you play Beast down, he's going to go ahead and put the cards that you've already played back into your hand, costing 1 less. And this is fantastic. It's going to build into Collector's total pool, and that's what really makes the deck work. Heck, this could also just be called like Collector Bounce. You don't have to use Devil Dinosaur, but with so many of you guys used to his playstyle, I wanted to make a deck that combined the best of the two. Also in Pool 3, we've got options like Falcon, which is going to take all of your 1-cost cards back. A fantastic card to go with Collector as well for some major points. We have Quinjet, which can be very deceiving. If you have cards in your hand that weren't there originally, Quinjet is going to reduce the cost by 1. This can be very strong into something like Onslaught, Citadel. Very strong card. And with all that for the final deck today, this is the Pool 3 Devil Dinosaur version of the deck I would play. Again, we're going to be capitalizing on Devil Dinosaur, inserting these other cards as well. Definitely get rid of cards like Mantis or this Destroy packages that you were running previously. And altogether, this deck it's very strong. I would still run it and highly recommend it for early Pool 3 goers. All right, now that's going to do it for the 5 decks that I love going into an early Pool 3 venture. These are all decks that you know from Pool 2, and they're very easy to slot new cards in. That's the whole point of this video, was what decks could I make that as you pull cards, you can slowly introduce new additions to those decks. Because that's going to be the game for a while for you guys. Let me know down below what deck you plan on running out of these options or another option altogether. And this was very different than my large in-depth guides. I probably plan on doing in-depth guides for some of these decks on today's video. My friends, if this video helped you out, like it to help the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, as always, happy snapping.